to my Twitch. Today I'm going to create some Kanban board in Gitlab, and yes, this is for all Scrum Masters who want to use GitLab as a tool, or for all developer teams who anyway use GitLab as source control and would like to manage their issues in GitLab and have a real Kanban board and control about it. I will explain how GitLab works and explain which Scrum mechanisms we can apply in this on that board, and which Kanban mechanisms we can apply. So it will be some kind of a Scrumban tutorial. So we're going to work out what is best for you. And what I'm actually working on is a little project of mine. I also do trainings, and I have that course which is called software testing. And I will have that software testing course as an online training, live online training soon. And I like to have a Kanban board for my trainings where I have all things as issues, and we will create a board for that yet. I've got a little example project, but it's empty with no issues, so it's a blank project and they haven't been used yet. So the first issue is going to be I will say place all topics on the board. And we have different types, which mean issue and incident, and we will have a look at how it comes. I will not use the description for the moment, but all topics. What I'm actually in is a default GitLab project. I assume you will be able to create a project yourself. You can create it just by using this plus new project. You can create new issues and new projects. Issue is the basic ticket type for the GitLab, and originally GitLab is kind of open source copy from GitHub, so it's created to manage open source projects. But in our case, we are using it to create usual workflow for software development, which is not only issues but also stories and other stuff. So I created my first issue, which is on that board. There's a really nice function which I can show you later up. You can send an email to. I can show it right now. You can send an email to the board where you automatically place an issue. And now my email client is starting up. I will use my skills for teams address. So it has a cryptic email address, and I hope you're not going to spam my board. If you see it now, you can. I'm sure you can forward it some way. I will name it topic created. There will be for sure an introduction, and I will place some more. This topic has been created by email. So my email is out. I got an error sending my message. Maybe I have to use another email client. I will just do it in my other window at my other email client. Copy it. Please be patient. And I will send another email, and then it's going to be a surprise what we will receive. be surprised if we have 2 or 3. So to the email address and subject another ticket by mail. This is a ticket by email. The reason why I record, went live on YouTube. First one is I would like to test the live feature, and the second one is it's always hard to find time to make videos, and if I just go live, the video is just on. I don't have to think so much about it, and that will make it easier. So we will check if new issues applied there. And I got another email ticket by email that was just sent it in to that address, and now I can link other issues, and I also can vote about it. This feature from open source. You can also add emoticons questionnaire and use them to vote it. But we would like to create a board, and maybe I just create one more issue. I will create a new one, and this is going to be what is software testing, and I will use the German one because I will give a German introduction. Was ist software? And we use some English words inside German. What is software testing? That exercise, it's going to be definitely inside. Was ist Software testen? It's going to be. We could create milestones. I will need to create labels. I will create them later to create the board. I will create another topic. This project new issue is another way to create them. The next one is Grundsätze des Software. It's the 7 basics of software testing. And that's going to be inside as well. I will create another one, which is called Testverfahren. So it's basically about test types. I have to sort out the difference between Testverfahren and test methods. I'm not sure, but as you see here, I created it on my online course, which was one of the first online courses I created on Udemy, but it's still good. It's called Software Tester and QA Experte, der schnelle Einstieg. So it's a German one. Maybe I will create English one later. So if I want to see all my tickets on the board now, I have to create a board. And actually the basic board has only open and closed, and open and closed is pretty too less to organize the team the Scrum way and to organize a real Kanban board. Actually, it's not possible to have any other state than open and closed inside GitLab, but GitLab has another concept than the state, and that is labels. And we will create some labels. The labels will later be the columns on our board. I did not check that function. You can create a new label, but I will check the generate default labels now. And it's now recommending bug. Critical document. We cannot use that labels in the way we want to do it, because they got suggestions, enhancement, critical, or whatever. Rather we use, I will remove them again, another type of labels, which will be our Kanban columns. I should have tested that function before. So what we are going to do is create a new one, and I will call it backlog. All tickets in the Scrum backlog. Yeah, that will be our product backlog. Maybe I should call it that way. What is called product backlog in Scrum. Because when I coach teams, most teams mischange the backlog, which is a huge backlog, the product backlog, and the sprint backlog. And actually, if I'm not strictly using Scrum, I use to not have the sprint backlog, because in my opinion, these two backlogs are confusing, and I call it in another name. Now it's product backlog, and of course I'm running a training, I name it training backlog. So, and the next thing I would have, which would be called a sprint backlog, usually, should be in Scrum. I will write it down in Scrum. In Scrum, this would be a sprint backlog. And or could be called I will call this one selected for lesson. Because I like to call it selected for development, or selected for today, or like for to do, to differ if something is ready to be developed or not. And no matter if you're using Scrum or if you're using another system like Kanban, or created your own framework, or however you do it, it's useful to have a certain point where you decide to do something. In Scrum, it's originally a planning meeting. If you don't have Scrum, you can even decide inside the daily when somebody is going into development, but I think you should do that decision explicitly, and not just get things into development without somebody exciting it. So you need to talk about it, and you need to decide, oh, that's going to be developed or going to be done now. And that's why the reason why I call it this selected for development. In my case, I would call it selected for lesson, for learning. I would call it selected for learning. It's even nicer. And then I'm gonna explain you. I will have another color, which could be. What should my colors work like? Orange, green. I will use soft orange. That's good. So now I got training backlog selected for learning. I will create a new one. Learning now. That is, yeah, actually the classical doing column. On Kanban. So that is what is going to be done, and I will change my color. If it's learning now, I will make it blue or light green. Could be yellow. What an awful color. So now we get this learning one after we learn something like testing, and I will call it testing knowledge. The test and QA column. I will just check if my stream works pretty fine, but it seems so. So I will go on. I got 3 listeners, that's cool. So I created a testing column. And of course, I will have a done column, which is closed. So we could think about if closed and done is the same. I will need testing knowledge, could be that one, or gray one. I will call it ready to use. Or we'll call it ready for brain. It would be a ready for production column in a real Scrum team. I will call it ready for brain. Ready in brain. And we can close that one latest. In Scrum or in Kanban, I must change it a bit. It would be ready for production release column. If you are interested in this project, you're gonna find some example. I don't know if the issue is public accessible. We're gonna test it later. On my GitLab, I got gitlab.com/skills for teams. I got some projects, and the GitLab course already has that board. I created it before, and the software testing course. I think it will stay online, and we're gonna check if you are able to access it. So we got some columns: training backlog, ready in brain. That should be green. And then we can close it. Now we're gonna have a look at the board. So here we don't have columns at the moment. We still got open and closed, but we want to have more columns, and we are going to edit it. And for that one, any milestone, edit. So we got all these labels created. Now we can change it, save it. Oh, what? I did it another way last time. So I have to do it another way. I need to add a list. You can go on the add list button next to edit board and add all the trainings. So I got learning now. That is the last one. Got selected for training. I can close open one. And now I'm going to scale a bit. I hope it's big enough for you. It's already on 80%. Which do we have? We got the training backlog. We got selected for learning, ready in brain, learning now, and I need to add the testing knowledge. So, what is our Kanban flow? We got first our training backlog. Now I could decide all open ones. Oh, I created a filter. That was not my intention. So this one is for creating filters. And now I'm deleting all that filters and hope my tickets come back. So now our workflow is first everything starts in open. That could be a draft or something which is getting inside by email. We can move everything into training backlog, and we can also arrange our training backlog so we can sort it to prioritize it. And I think do we have our introduction? Don't. I can add one directly here, introduction. I don't want that labels all on it. That even answers the question, it might take problem. So introduction has now training in backlog as a label, and we got everything here, and we can sort which is going to be it. I think the 7 basics of software testing are pretty good. Testverfahren, I have to check it. Another ticket by mail. What a stupid question, I call it. I will have definitely in. So I will need to go to edit now. Of course, testing. I will call it testing emails. Email functions. That is pretty good. Did you actually ever thought about testing emails? There is an extra service which is testing emails. For example, if you create email newsletters, you always have a problem that your newsletter might not be in the right format and at any client. So there are providers which have all kinds of email addresses. You're gonna send them an email, and they're gonna check them in Gmail. They're gonna check it in Office 365 and GMX, Web, Yahoo Mail, or whatever, just to make sure everybody is able to see your email in a good state. I'm getting off topic, but I want to check for it. I will use for email testing hub. Email newsletter. Vision rapid mail, clever reach. I don't know what's called. can't find it. But I used it before for a company. They were specialized in newsletters, and they always had problems. So they email tool tester. Might it be this one? No, they tested the sendmail once. Well, actually, there's a test system to test emails with different providers, and I'm gonna check for it again. So I might write down some acceptance criteria. I like it. Acceptance criteria, email test services, and mock email addresses. Email send service. There are tools, you install them on your system, and instead of sending emails, they are going to be stocked and just watched in your system. They are called something like fake sendmail. It's available for XMX. How is it called? Mail mock. I forgot the name of it. Mail trap. Fake SMTP server. So it's not a real SMTP server. It's just doing like if it's sending out emails, but actually storing them somewhere where you can easily access and use your test ones. That is if you run a full test of a software and you want to use it. It's not for free. Oh, it's for free if you use the basic one. For individual, like for freelancers, it's $9.99. I didn't want to advertise it. There are other solutions which, for example, you can configure your Linux server that SendMail is doing some other stuff, and then it's going to be for free. I will look for another open source fake SMTP server. Yeah, there's one for Windows, one for Linux, for Docker. You just need to look it up. I will place it in the topic. That's a good one because it's always interesting. So I got my ticket ready. Save changes. I got a really nice history. Maybe GitLab is using Git to store all these changes or a system like that. But back to my Kanban board. Boards. I can create different boards so I can have different views. I will edit the board. Labels, edit. No, I don't want this. This was my mistake. So remember, you can add the columns by add list, not by edit board. It's a bit confusing, but edit board is working another way. So we got our ones, and I will move introduction and testing of email functions into learning. And now I decide to place all the topics on the board. Now I have 3 columns, and that might be a bit much. I can define a work in progress limit. For those who know Kanban and who are into Kanban, Kanban is one of the main, I call it mechanics, to manage not to do too much work at once and to manage the flow continuously. And the basic rule is if you do too much things at once, you will not be able to, it will cost you time. The German word for it, Rüstzeit, it's from the old knights which were getting the armor on. That's where the origin of the word Rüstzeit is. and actually it's the time you need to get your tool set up. The English word is setup time or tool setup time. And even we as developers, if we don't need a screwdriver anytime, but we need tools in our brain and tools on our laptop, and it even costs time to get our brain into a topic, and if you do two at once it's difficult, and if one topic is lying around too long, it's like if you do work and put somebody on your workplace and just let it lie around there, it's not getting better. The same is with our software tickets and with our software. So the best way is receive a ticket and finish it, and then receive the next one. And even slide it small. We can have settings here, and we have a work in progress limit, and this says maximum of 2 numbers might be in development. That's what I did now, and now it's saying I don't it's getting red and noticing me you are doing something wrong. I can get 3 in, I can get 4 in. I didn't see if there's any mechanism to send emails now, but it's directly viewable. So a developer who walks around, or even your CEO, if he's walking around, he sees a red column and asking, oh, why is that column red? If I stay with my course, for example, and as I concepted now, actually selected for learning might be okay, or might be too much for a lesson. Learning now is, I could set it to 1. Let's set it to 1. So learning now is set into 1, and we even have test knowledge. That could be like creating test knowledge. Is typically, if you have a software system, I know a lot of teams which have problems with the test capacity. So if you have, for example, a dedicated tester, and only one guy is testing all the stuff from 4 others, then you might have a problem, because if he's for example, if you do sprints, all developers start developing by beginning of sprint day 1, and by sprint day 8 of 10, all are finished and handling over the stuff to the developer, to the tester. That will cause a problem. But for this one, I would say, we can write 1 test at the end. That would be okay. But I like to introduce smaller tests into my courses, so I get small little pieces and no big tests at the end. So I will have, like, let's say, testing knowledge, maximum 3 topics, and learning now, and then we got the learn 1 ready in brain, and that's where we just put it and close it at some point. Another opportunity what we can give here, it's basically made for estimation, and you can enter a number. You can use it directly for story points or anything else. We can have 45, for example, or we can make it to 10. And with this, it gives me, for those who like estimations, me doesn't like them, but you have some kind of really lightweight estimation, which is good, which is working. You can input the weights, and that could also be a business value. For those who prefer value estimation over usual estimation, you don't only have estimations on what the ticket will cost you in time and effort and how complicated it's going to be. You also make an estimation what's the weight of it. You could assign it to milestones, and of course, now if not only one is walking in the board, You can assign it. I can assign it to me, and I also could assign something to. I have another colleague here working. He's my co-worker, and I call him the banana. Maybe I'll get him later. He's in the kitchen, and then you see who is working on it. So that's a very basic Kanban board. The introduction is done, for example. You can combine it with a lot of stuff. You got this labels for managing. You can also manage iterations. And to be honest, I didn't try it before. So I'm going to try it now. Create a date, iteration. If you upgrade the plan, epics are going to apply in you're gonna have epics if you pay more, if you got a bigger plan, multi-level child epics. So you're gonna have a more valuable system, and could do more. I used to work with epics, and I think some overrate it, some don't overrate it. It depends a bit, but it's even possible to have it in a bigger plan, and I will check which plan it should be. It must be GitHub Ultimate, and GitHub Ultimate is a bit more expensive. I think it's $99 per user, and the usual one is $20 per user. So I will check how to iteration. You will have conditionality. You can lock an issue. I will use a milestone. You can use milestones for applying sprints as well. That's what you can do in any software. I will call it sprint as milestone. Or if you have releases, for example, if you don't have a continuous deployment and continuous releases, you might have the old one, and maybe you have a spring release or something like that. So you can use it for the conservative waterfall approach milestone planning. You have an issue list, and I think I will check if the iterations will work. Close all. I don't have a button to create iterations. New issue, new project. So I will check how to create new issue types. So you can't add it to. So development docs issue types should be in 39. Actually, I cannot find it out at the moment. Status. You can update as CSV, so you can get it somewhere else. I will see if it new issue. It does not see another type. You can use Markdown, so you don't have that big variability if it comes to issue type. If it comes to field, you can almost change nothing. But for a simple project, for simple management, it might be okay. I will look up if there's an issue type. Managing issues, customizable issue types, and that's always, if you work with open source software, you have to check the documentations. It's still open, so there was a request about 1 year ago, and it says, oh, they have already feature bug enhancement incident. So there's a request, and I will put it into I will put it into the chat if you want to read it as well, and I will put it into notice. There is a request of this one was wrong. This one is the right one. So it's 118666, and this is about creating issue types, and maybe it's gonna be added in a later version. So let's have some if we look here, GitLab itself, it's 35,000 issues committed by some other people. They're not having, do they have boards? Let's look if they have boards as well. They have boards, and they even used it with workflows. And if you see here in review, there should be one, but that's 139. For a simple Scrum team with 8 people, 139 would be the absolute chaos and catastrophe if they are open and they are too much. It's a scope review, so it's combined with the workflow. I didn't check out how GitLab can combine things with the workflow. But what we did now is creating this simple board, which is pretty useful. It's a full Kanban board. And if you don't use any other software to manage your Kanban stuff, then it's a good thing. Because it's simple. If you have GitLab anyway and manage your source code there, you can use it for managing issues. I really like lightweight systems because you don't need to set up a full Jira system, configure everything, don't need somebody else to pay extra money, don't need transfer, and that makes the whole world easier. So if you just want to set up a system in Kanban board for your team, and you don't have something yet, and you're using Git as a repository, GitLab is a good alternative. I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and hope to see you next time. I will do more courses on GitLab and Git. Feel free to join me, or feel free to ask if you want to be a beta tester on it. Just send me a note, and we will arrange it. See you next time, and goodbye.